Hey guys, so I will be going over gates 4 and 5 in this video. It's going to be a relatively short one compared to usual, just because there isn't really a lot to go over. So, first question, what is the big differences between gates 4 and 5 and gates 1, 2, and 3? Well, let's start with the new material that has been added. Aside from your standard evolution materials, such as like rainbow golems, etc., and the statues, the only thing that's changed with the statues is obviously now there's a gate 4 and a gate 5 statue, just as there's gates 1, 2, and 3 statues. Um, the elemental crystal will be added. So, how do you get the elemental crystal? Well, when gate 5 hit in Japan, the elemental crystal was nigh impossible to get your hands on. However, eventually they began adding these to events such as raid shops and just having them drop from other things. Eventually, it really got to the point where unless you were a whale kaigening units out of your mind, you were never going to run out of elemental crystals. Each element has its own crystal, so do keep that in mind. You're going to need fire crystals for fire units or light crystals for light units, but aside from that, you mostly just get them from events and just drops from different event maps, etc. However, the big new thing is going to be the new material that is added on the very last part of each gate. And in Japan, we just generally call it a horn. I'm not sure what it's going to be called in global. However, to max gates 4 and 5, it's going to cost you 2 horns and 2 sins. So yes, you heard that right. 2 horns and 2 sins. Not only are you going to need 2 of the new mat for each gate, so you're going to need 4 per Kaigen. You're also going to need 2 sins as well, upping the number of sins you need to 5 all a unit to 9. Up from 5 from a 3 all. And that's pretty much it. That is the only difference between maxing gates 4 and gates 5. Now, you do need, just like the gates before it, you will need to have 2 into your gate 3 and 2 into your gate 4 before you can start on the next subsequent gate. When it was first released in Japan, they decided that they wanted us to have max gates 1, 2, and 3 to get gates 4 and 5, but they quickly backed off on that. You guys will almost certainly be getting the 2 level open to get to the next gate. Now, what do the gates give? Well, let's start with gate 4. Gate 4 is essentially gate 1 all over again, just it's more expensive. It's going to cost you 90 shards of whatever unit you want, and they will have to be unit shards just as before. And you'll be using the pig statue as the gate 4 material, or the gate 4 statue, and it's going to give you HP on each of your levels, and as well as having bonus HP when you max the gate, some extra attack stats from most units. Most units will get attack stats from that gate, or a combination of attack and another scaling stat, such as bow users getting physical attack and dex. And you're also going to get damage to a sin type. So let's say you have damage to lust, okay? Well, that means that if a boss monster, and it's almost always going to be exclusively boss monsters, has a lust tag on it, you will get an additional damage modifier on that boss. This is going to be an extremely important mechanic going forward. However, in general, you don't field a unit because it has a specific modifier against a boss, such as a lust tag. You can, but that's not really how we normally get our modifiers. We normally get our modifiers through Nenso leader skills. So it's going to be pretty rare that you're going to field a unit explicitly because it has a tag that matches the boss, but do keep that in mind. That is a thing. The real prize, however, is on gate 5, where it's going to upgrade old skills. Now, in general, job enchantments are going to have similar, if not the same, buff across all of them. So Rudra Dragon Cavaliers should almost always get the Rudra Dragon Cavalier Gate 5 buff. I don't think this is true in all cases, but it's a good rule of thumb. Now, unique jobs and job pluses might have a unique buff that the other ones don't have, so you do want to look out for them. However, in general, but the buffs can buff multiple different aspects of a skill. I have seen some skills go from having a cast time to instant cast. I've seen, for instance, Nina has a better cast time on her summoner. attack, and it no longer hits allies, which makes her a much more viable autoer when running her summoner, which is very nice, as she does a shitload of damage to dark units. And it'll all around make her a better unit. Other times, it's just going to increase damage or the number of times you can use a skill, or both. Generally speaking, if a unit has a skill that reduces the CT of an enemy, that is, for some odd reason, almost always the thing that gets buffed, and it's going to be buffed to reduce even more CT. And this will be important against many, many bosses. Any boss that is susceptible to CT down, you can just use it and abuse bosses like that. You can see me abuse these in the Kasumi event, in the movie event, a couple months back. I can't really think of many other buffs off the top of my head. I know Liz gets a buff to her healing and jewel restoration. So Liz J3 has an AoE that if you sit in it, it's going to give you a one-time like 25 jewels when you have the gate 5 max as opposed to 10, and heal you like a set amount of HP. And that is it. That is a possibility. However, those are less frequent. But yeah, that's most of the gate 5s I can think of. I'm sure there are other gate 5 effects that I am missing. Like some of them give you better range, give you more defense ignore. It could really be any aspect of the skill. But once you see a lot of gate 5s, you kind of get a good idea of how the skills are being buffed in general. So that's all I have to say on gate 5. Thank you for sitting here and watching Best Gal Itsuki for a bit, and listening to things about gates 4 and gates 5. And I don't know if I'll be releasing any other videos today or not, if I want to do Shenmei Plus or Sieba Plus, but because there's some other things I want to get done on my day off. But as always, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.